Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. My name is Lisa Curcio. I am so excited that you're here joining me tonight. It is Monday, October 22nd. If you are here for the live, I'm so glad that you could make it by to join me. Those of you that will be watching the replay, I am glad that you stopped by. I look forward to interacting with as many of you as I can, but because I'll be doing the stamping, I want to make sure that I introduce you to Majestic. You'll see Megan's name in blue if you're here during the live event, and there's a little blue wrench next to her name. Megan is my virtual YouTube assistant, and she's here to help moderate the comments and catch things that I can't catch. So I'm so glad that you guys are joining me. Thanks for being here, Megan, and helping out. I've got a cool card for us tonight, something a little bit different, but I want to make sure that you stick with me to the end because I've got some variations on this card so that you can see a couple different ways. I like to kind of gussy this up a little bit, and it's got some bling, of course, because I love bling. So I want to make sure that I give you options on both ways to go. This is the first time for some of you here. Hi, Diana. I'm glad that you've joined us. One of the things I absolutely love about live is your ability to interact with each other. Oftentimes we get to see that you get to live in states and cities nearby each other, and that's really great. And Megan does a really good job of answering those questions I can't catch. So thank you all for being here. I've got some announcements for you at the end, so make sure that you stick with me. But without further ado, what do you guys say that we get started? I'm going to flip the camera down to the stamp table, and then I'll get you guys all set up so we can get started. Here we go. Oh, so many of you are chiming in that this is your first time live. I'm so happy to hear that. All right, we're going to zoom you in a little bit. I've got a fancy dancy light here, and I'm going to refresh my iPad so I can make sure that I can see as many of your comments as I can. You know, I try to do my best with catching them, but you know, as I'm busy stamping, sometimes it doesn't always happen, does it? All right, I am going to be using a bundle of products today called The Winter Woods. Now you may have already seen this in the holiday catalog, and for some reason my book is buried. Hold on a second. A girl has to have her catalog, right? Those are here in the holiday catalog. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you're interested in receiving a complimentary copy of either the holiday catalog or the annual catalog, just leave us a comment and I'll get a hold of you and we'll get an address from you. Keep in mind that if you're commenting here during the live, which means your chat is going to be off to the side, I'm not going to be able to reply right to that. It'll be in the regular comments below, so make sure that you know that. The other thing is if you're looking to comment and you're not able to, a couple things you need to know. You have to have a YouTube account, free and easy to set up, and you must log into it in order to chat during the live event. Winter Woods, here's the good news. I'm going to give you a little spoiler alert. It is going to be my card making kit for November, and you are not going to want to miss it. I am going to share those cards with you next time we're together live, and I'll let you know that by the end of the night. So I'm going to set those aside, and I am going to work primarily with the framelits tonight. And I've got myself a piece of Whisper white cardstock here. I'm going to have all the cutting dimensions and the pictures for tonight's project on my blog on Wednesday. I will put a link in the description of this video below so you'll be able to navigate to it if you're watching the replay. But I'm going to do some die cutting, so I'm going to drag in my Big Shot here. I am a big fan of the magnetic platform. Let me just unroll this. I had it kind of all put together, stashed off to the side. I like the magnetic platform because it helps to hold the metal dies in place. It's just a preference. Do you absolutely have to have it? Nope. It's up to you. If you have the regular multi-purpose platform and the thin die adapter, these dies are going to work beautifully. You're going to want to make sure you put one of the clear cutting mats on the bottom to protect your platform. And then I'm going to put my white cardstock here. From the In The Woods Framelits set, I have pulled out a piece here. And it is this amazing Christmas tree. Wait till you guys see what this does. I'm going to place that down here in the center of this cardstock. I'm going to leave a little room at the bottom because we're going to do something down there. And I'm looking just to kind of eye it. It's just kind of centering it the best that I can. And I'm working sideways because I want to make sure it's in the camera view. And then I'm going to put another clear mat over the top. And then we're going to crank this through. Absolutely love that doesn't require power, just a little manpower. And that's going to give us our die cut image. Here's the other reason why I'm going to love this card is it kind of is a 2-for-1. How many of you like a 2-for-1, which means you do one set of work and you're going to get like 2 really cool impressions. We're going to save this. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that in a second. Let me put this off to the side, and I'm going to bring in my little black mat here because I think that's going to be a little bit easier for you to see. This is a very detailed die. Do you happen to see the pine boughs on this? It actually cut those 3D pine boughs. This die actually has small little holes around the outside. So I'm going to use my pick pickup tool, and I'm going to use that paper piercing end, and I'm just using those little small holes just to kind of poke my paper out. And I'm not pushing it to hurt the paper, but I'm just going to kind of pull that out. Okay, so it comes out beautifully, works really, really well. You are going to love this die. Here is the cool thing about this tree. Do you see these little pieces here? How they're kind of lifted. One of the reasons I want to have that dark background is I want you to be able to see how this is going to work. You can leave it exactly like it is, but I'm going to spiffy this up just a little bit, okay? So using that paper piercing tool on the end of my pickup tool, I'm going to give a little bit of dimension to those pine boughs. This is absolutely optional. So if this is fussy for you and you don't like it, you don't have to do it, but I've got lots of tips for you along the way. Now, you can use your fingernail, but I'll be honest with you, I found that challenging for me. So I preferred to use this. So let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to hold my hand a little closer so you can see. I'm going to brace that piercing tool against the very top of that slit. And all I'm doing is I'm curling the paper up to it. Now it's going to be a little bit more prominent as I work my way down to these other boughs. And I'm just going to kind of just give them a little bit of a curl. But do you see what's happening to this? We're getting a little life in this tree. Now this card tonight is going to be white on white. Oh, so reminiscent of Christmas, isn't it? White Christmases. We don't have those here in Florida. Not that I'm complaining, because I do love the weather that we get here, but at Christmas time, I think we all like snow, don't we? I know that I do. I do miss it. Grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois, so I know well about snow. That flopped right out of my hands. Again, brace your pickup tool and then curl around it. You're going to find it easier than trying to do this. I have some dexterity issues because of some arthritis in my hands, so I find this so much easier this way. This is also a TV project. This is something you can easily do with a little TV tray, sitting there watching your favorite shows this holiday season, drinking hot cocoa. Some of you have already been writing to me telling me how it's cold where you're at. All right, so there we go. We've got our 3D tree. Let's go on to the next step. I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock that's going to be the base for this tree. Now I have scored it in half just prior to you joining me, but I'm going to go ahead and fold it. I always like to make sure that I match up my ends. And let me grab my bone folder here, and I'm going to go over that edge for that nice crisp crease. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my greeting on here first. So underneath here, underneath the negative area, I'm going to use my Real Red ink pad. And I've pulled out the greeting that says, "'Tis the season." Now, I borrowed this stamp from the Itty Bitty Greetings stamp set. You know what? I really like this because it covers everything. Anything you could possibly need a stamp for, it is in here. You can see that they're fairly small, which is going to make them perfect for those cards where you want your die or your stamped image to be the focal point of what you're doing. So I've pulled out "'Tis the Season." I do want to point out that in the winter woods, there is a greeting here that says, "Thinking of you this season." So obviously you could use that. But you can see that my space here was very limited. So I wanted to go with another stamp set. And you know what? We all mix it up when we're at home stamping, don't we? We borrow from one to use with another. On these little stamps, an important tip: if you've had a rough day and you're going to push hard, you're going to have a hot mess. So tap gently. And then I always like to check it, because then I can tell if I've got ink around the outside rubber edges, which is what we don't want, because we want to make sure we don't have that halo. So let's see if we can do this nice and straight from my head being this distance away. And, well, semi-straight. You know, I'll give myself a B-, okay? You know, I don't know about you, but as I get older and I stamp, my head needs to be closer to the table, which makes getting them really straight this distance away challenging for me. It is. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this on top of here. but I want some elevation. And I'm going to show you how to do what we're calling a recessed image. This is just what I'm calling it. I've got other samples to show you, so hang with me. I'm flipping this over, and then from the back side, I'm going to use dimensionals. We also sell foam adhesive strips. They're a little bit denser than dimensionals, and they do come in a strip. You could certainly use those, but I found this was sufficient for what I was looking for. But I just want to let you know that that is an option on a way to go. So let me pull off some dimensionals here. I'm going to work in the corners. You always want to make sure that your card is balanced, because we want to be cognizant, especially with the cards we're going to mail, that they are going to go through the postage machine at the post office. Those little rollers that mimic our mail right through that thing, like at the speed of light, honestly. So you want to make sure that it's going to come out looking pretty much like when you put it together, because otherwise it's going to be out of whack and it's going to be unbalanced. And you know what? I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to put a couple more here near these openings, because I'm going to do that recessed look we just talked about. All right, so there we go. So I was really generous with those. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take off those paper backings. If you're finding these difficult to get off, because sometimes I am, I keep my fingernails really, really short. Let me give you a tip. Take your thumbnail and press it in the center of the paper, and that's going to help lift that outside paper edge, making it a lot easier for you to get off those backings, especially when you've got as many as this, right? So we've got just a couple more here. Hang with me. It's worth it, I promise. I don't know about you. I do make, usually every year, about 125 Christmas cards. So I'm always looking for that stunning, simple card that's going to be really pretty in someone's mailbox without a whole lot of effort, which means I can't spend an hour on one card, right? Is anybody else with me? All right, let's set this aside. Do you remember that image that we just die cut a few minutes ago, that little 3D tree here? Look at how pretty this is. I'm turning it upside down and I'm working from the back. And I am going to use the liquid glue. I found that you can use dimensionals if you want, but I wanted to make sure that this was well recessed into this 3D card. My tip for you about the liquid glue is to make sure that you get this started on your silicone craft sheet before you start going crazy. If you've ever worked with liquid glue before, and if you've got a little dry tip on there and you squeeze too hard, you're going to have a blob come out, right? The silicone craft sheet is one of my very favorite tools in my stamp room, simply because adhesive, liquid glue, and hot glue will not stick to it. As this dries, I will literally be able to rub it off and it'll completely go away, which keeps my work surface here nice and clean. Now listen, this is a pretty strong glue, so you don't have to do the Hercules gluing thing. So all I want you to do is I got some string tuck on there. There we go. I want you just to add some glue and just outside edges here, and we're going to just tap our way around. I'm avoiding those pine boughs that are lifted, because obviously we don't want to glue those down because we lifted those for a reason. So I'm going to kind of work around here, getting in my corner. And like I said, the glue is strong, so you don't need to place it every little which way. All right, so let me slide that over. Here's the base of our card. I am going to pop this down inside. So I'm going to work right inside that image. I'm going to grab my pickup tool, because that's going to give me a little bit of an extra hand here to get it down inside those recessed areas. The great thing too about the liquid glue, which you're not going to get with other adhesives, is you're going to give yourself some wiggle room, which means you're going to be able to adjust the paper slightly left and slightly right in order to get it just where you want it. So my piercing tool now is just kind of tacking down those areas I put the glue in, and then I'll come in behind with my fingers and I'll kind of just tack it. Because we curled these so nicely with the piercing end, you don't have to worry about these becoming completely flat, even when you mail it. I know I probably have a naysayer, but it's going to work great. That glue will take under a minute to dry, and like I said, it's really strong. Now I know there's going to be a couple of you that are probably thinking, does that really work? So I'm going to show you what. I'm going to leave a little bit more glue there, and we'll come back to that in about a minute. When it's dry, I'm going to show you how that works. I wanted to decorate this a little bit, and I decided to use these beautiful red rhinestones. They're abundant in this package, and you cannot beat this price. So you can see that I've well loved these. And I'm going to decorate my tree to give it a little bit of color to coordinate with this greeting. But remember, like I told you before, I've got a couple other samples to share with you, so hang with me. Now the great thing about the Take Your Pick pickup tool is, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a little lock and unlock mechanism here on the end. So all you have to do is turn it, and guess what? This is dual-ended, so I can switch this and then go over to my little spatula side or my little chiseled flat palette side, and that's going to help me pick up some of these smaller embellishments. It's also a great tool to get up underneath a dimensional you've accidentally put down in place or a little bit of adhesive. Okay, this is not to replace the ability to be able to reposition an entire card. It's to fix little mistakes. This also comes with an additional attachment with a double-sided stylus tool. So for $10, I'm telling you what, this thing is amazing. This pulls off, and there's a little putty tip here that's going to help you pick up sequins. It's also going to pick up small little tiny paper pieces that are really difficult to get with your fingers. And the great thing about it for the $10 with the attachments is you're going to get a putty refill. So that just unscrews and you just put a new one back in. Absolutely love this tool. All right, so let's add some red to this to bring in some color. All right, so I'm picking those up. They have glue dots already on the back, so we don't have to mess with any more adhesive. So I'm going to put one here at the top, and I'm going to pick up a couple more, and let's do, I'm just going to scatter these. You know what? I don't want to put them too close together, but I don't want them too far apart. And again, you know what? If you're like me and you like a lot of bling, you can put a whole bunch on your tree. And I'm just going to kind of keep this to what I call a fair minimum. Those of you that have seen my videos before and viewed my cards, you know that I'm all about the shimmer, because you know what? Isn't that what shimmer is all about? It's about Christmas. I think that's one of the best parts of the holiday is all the lights and all the bling. All right, so I think that's good enough for me. But talk about simple, and look at this. I'm going to kind of hold it upside down so you guys can see here. Can you see the dimension on this card? Is this not cool? And look at it this way. I'm going to try to give you some other angles so that you can appreciate it. It's not like you're here and you can actually touch and feel it. But the photographs I've got coming up in the link to this video below on Wednesday, you're going to want to take a peek at, because you're going to get a lot closer to this and be able to see how this works. Now I've got some other samples for you. This one is the exact same card using the clear rhinestones. Isn't this pretty and so simple? You know what? Christmas cards do not have to take 900 layers and an hour to put together. If you're making a lot of cards like I am, consider something simple like this that has a lot of punch to it because of the color, the tone on tone, or of course that little pop of color here on this card. That recessed image will have your friends and family looking at this going, how did she do that? And you're going to be like, oh, it's a great recess trick. The other thing is you can certainly leave that opening on the card here and add designer paper or colored cardstock to the back so that it will peek through these little pine bough areas here. So we've got one here with the red and then one here with the clear. And then I have one other variation for you that I wanted to share. Look at this. I did not even create that negative image like I did on this one here. So let me slide this one over so you can see it. So remember how we die cut the opening on that panel? No panel. All I did was the exact same tree, curled them up using the pickup tool, and then added my rhinestones. But look at the dimension on this card. Isn't this beautiful? And simple, very, very simple. The other great thing about a white card, not only is it reminiscent of Christmas, but it gives you the ability to stamp your greeting on the inside and of course add your customized family stamp name if you guys order those, or sign your cards, which of course I hope you do. So there's a couple ideas using this bundle. I want to come back over to the silicone craft sheet, because believe it or not, this is one product I get a ton of questions about. They're like, does that really work? Does the glue really come off? And the answer is yes. You can see that it's not completely dry yet, but I'm going to show you something. I'm going to rub it and it's going to come completely off. Do you see that? So it leaves little balls on here. The silicone craft sheet will just repel the adhesives. In addition to that, it works great with snail adhesive. I'm pulling that right out of my drawer because I actually didn't even need that on my card tonight. Did you guys notice that? So if you were to put adhesive on here, do you notice? Look, it doesn't even stick. If you were to get that on your paper or your grid sheets or your work table underneath you, you're going to have that sticky mess all night long and you're going to be fighting it. This is the best money you will spend, and it's very inexpensive. Invest in one and you will thank me, I promise. So that's the card tonight. Again, there's that 3D recess look. Here it is without the layer. And then there's one more here with the clear rhinestones. Now I have some news for you that I want to share with you, but let me flip the camera around so that I can see you. Oh, there I am. Oh, thank you for sharing. Listen, do me a favor if you wouldn't mind. If you have enjoyed the demonstration, please share it with friends and other crafters. If you would too, give it a thumbs up. It makes YouTube super happy as well as me. In addition to that, I would love it if you would head over to lisastampstudio.com and subscribe to my blog and my free e-newsletter. Every week I send out a free e-newsletter, and inside that newsletter there is a tutorial that I do not share on any of my other platforms. It's completely free. I send you the tutorials real straight up and real simple. I would love to share that with you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have got so much stuff coming up and I don't want you to miss it. And I certainly don't want you to miss the next live because it's going to be, guess what, next week. I'm going to be back with you next Thursday. Now I have a little bit of something to share with you that's hot off the press, all right? Stampin' Up! Is celebrating their 30th birthday tomorrow. And as part of their birthday, they have told us today, with just a little bit of advance notice, that they're having a 15% off stamp set sale tomorrow. Now, I don't expect you to be able to see this from where you're at, but you're going to be able to find all this information over in the link below, over on my blog. There is a list of stamp sets. Look at this. There's more on the other page. These are all 15% off. There is no limit. You can buy one, you can buy a bunch. But here's the best news. A lot of you don't know this. I offer exclusive and very generous ordering rewards for my customers. And actually, some of you are here, so you can kind of chime in. If you spend $25 in product before shipping and tax, I am going to invite you to a private live event called Live with Lisa. There I do live demonstrations. I give away a huge bundle of tutorials. There's usually 8. In addition to that, I give away product prizes. If your order reaches $50 in product or more, you're going to get that, plus you're going to get what I call my product gift list. And on the 25th of each month, I email those people that qualified a list of products to choose from for absolutely free. Those products range in price from $10 to $15. And again, I know some of you here, our customers already can vouch for how much that you really enjoy the ability of choosing from that list. There are 10 to 12 products on that list, and you can choose whatever one that you'd like. You're going to be able to find pictures of the stamp sets that are here on the flyer. Again, I know these are way too small, but you can see how many there are over in the link below. It's part of my VIP program, and I will then invite you to a private VIP page. That VIP page is on Facebook, and if you're not on Facebook, don't worry. I don't leave you out of the live event with Live with Lisa. I'll make sure that you'll get the recording via email as well as the tutorials. Just let me know when you place your order. I think that's about it. So I'm going to be back with you next Thursday, which is already November 1st. Can you guys believe it? And you are not going to want to miss what I do with some amazing velvet paper. So that's just a little spoiler for you. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time, and I hope that you've enjoyed this real simple, clean, recessed Christmas card. We'll see you guys soon. Have a great night. Bye-bye. Thanks, Megan.